and I'm giving the Eagles a perfect offseason here. Let's get into it with this Eagle version of the perfect offseason. I hear I'm going to re-sign Mekhi Becton. I'll start with that one. Mekhi Becton entered last offseason 1 foot out of the freaking league, like almost completely gone, a complete bust in for the New York Jets. He comes to the Eagles. He comes to legendary offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland University, as I like to call it in Philly, and turns around his career. He's one of the best guards in the game. He's massive. He's a vital cog to a Super Bowl offensive line, and so I think they need to prioritize signing Mekhi Becton because at the end of the day, this team won because of the trenches, the defensive line and this offensive line. This offensive line blocked for a 2,000-yard rusher, and I know Saquon Barkley's amazing, but obviously even the great Saquon Barkley is somewhat tied to his offensive line. Just look how it played out with the New York Giants. So how do you feel about that being my priority this offseason? Let's sign the big man.
I like it. I don't love it because I feel like you guys are so good at finding, diamonds in the rough. You can just pick a random guard and make him better than what he is. I think Becton alone is, I wouldn't sign him for this, but I think it's so dependent. He's next to Lane Johnson and Jurgen. This is such a nice fit. So I like it. I don't love it, but I like it because obviously last year 2,000 yards. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So yeah. If you have the room and the versatility to do it, do it.
These projected numbers are from Spotrac. So 4 years, 40 million is kind of what he's projected to get. And there has been some articles out there already that he's going to most likely give the team a kind of a team friendly deal, take maybe a little bit less. And so we'll see how that works out. And you got to imagine, I mean, the guy has to be super thankful. Like he was almost out of the league, and now he's going to change his whole family trajectory where after one
Yeah.
season with Jeff Stoutland. So hopefully he shows some of that gratitude back to the Eagles, resigns for a better number. My second guy here might shock you because we've had this conversation before, and the second guy has always been someone else on the defense, Milton Williams. I'm passing on Milton Williams here, and I'm signing Zach Bond. He's projected to make 2 years, 19 million, which I think linebackers are the next position group that need to be pounding the table for raises because I was floored that this was the projected number, but it's right in line with the best linebacker contracts out there. Matt Milano has the best one, and per year he makes about this the same as Zach Bond. Zach Bond, first team All Pro. He was amazing, a playmaker throughout the playoffs. Made obviously picked off Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Like literally, you cannot have a greater success story than Zach Bond this year. Maybe
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton, but Zach Bond, kind of
That's
like
true.
Mekhi Becton on the defensive side, he gets 2 years, 19 mil. I think he anchors this defense for years to come. And you'll know this. There's just certain guys, and I'm not gonna box them into this, but
Mhm.
there's certain guys that just work in this Vic Fangio defense. There's certain guys that just this fits them like a glove. Seems like Zach Bond's one of those.
Yeah, I mean, highlighted by his interception of Patrick Mahomes in the freaking Super Bowl. Just the
Yep.
perfect fit. Like when he was with New Orleans, he was like an average to below average linebacker. He was just, and then Zach Bond came, then the guy signed Devin White, and then we realized, or they announced that they cut Devin White. Then you were kind of wondering, what is Zach Bond's the guy? And he proved it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Zach Bond, incredible story to go to become an All Pro on a championship team. Like, there's like 8 movies that can be made out of the Eagles players individually. He's one of them. Like him and
Yeah.
Becton, like those guys were like castaways, almost not even being signed by a team. Eagles, I guarantee you, no matter what the Eagles say, they were not envisioning him being an All Pro linebacker,
No.
but they are. And if I were him, you have young coach, young quarterback. Take a deal, stay with Philly. Like, why leave?
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the rest of them here. They're kind of smaller signings, but we are respecting the cap space as real here. I do think, kind of as a side note, they'll extend Cam Jurgens as well, and that'll add to their cap space. Also, these are the cap spaces not affected by the recent raise that's anticipated across the league. The league hasn't actually announced that yet. It's kind of just been announced that it's coming. But when that happens, all these numbers will go up. I'm thinking anywhere from 3 to 6, 7 million. And so we might have a little more space in here, but we'll operate with what it is at this moment. And so moving on here, I have Isaiah Rodgers. This is a big deal because I think this marks the end of Darius Slay in Philadelphia. He kind of said before the Super Bowl, this is probably his last game of the Eagles, and he was a captain and everything. I don't really understand what the tension is because the locker room seems to love him. He seems to have a good time playing there. Like his teammates love him, his position groups love him, but it seems like he's on his way out. And I think he's going to go finish his career in Detroit. And all the best to you, Darius. We got a Super Bowl when you're here. Like, wish you nothing but the best. But I think Isaiah Rodgers steps into that role now. Spotrac has him getting 3 years, 15 mil to be a starting cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Quinyon Mitchell switched over to that CB1 role. Isaiah Rodgers in that too, and you keep Cooper DeJean kind of in a nickel joker type role. I don't think you want to just stick him on one side of the field. I think he's too valuable for that. I think you want to keep him all over the place. Him and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson kind of really excelled in that role this year. And so Isaiah Rodgers, I think, someone they signed. Dante Fowler is someone that I chose off a list of veteran pass rushers. Um, this could be. I thought about Von Miller here. I thought about what's his name, Preston Smith here. Any one of these guys, I think we give a decent deal to. Josh Sweat, I think, is in a command nearly $80 million. I don't think we keep him. They have Jalix Hunt, who played really well in the playoffs, as well as Nolan Smith. I think they give those guys a shot, but I don't think they go in without a vet. I think Dante Fowler is a decent fit here. How do you feel about Von Miller on the Eagles? I know you're the biggest Von Miller fan I know.
Yeah. Vaughn the Eagles is solid, but Dante Fowler, 10 sacks last year, is not to be overlooked. Okay.
Yeah,
Dante
he was
Fowler
great.
he did great last year. I wonder if the Commanders keep him in house or not. But yeah, no, Fowler's had a very underrated season. I love Vaughn. Vaughn's one of my favorite Broncos of all time, favorite players of all time. John Elway's first pick that led to an eventual Super Bowl in Super Bowl 50. But Von
Yeah,
Miller passes a little bit more pass. Dante Fowler had 10 sacks last year on a defense where the interior linemen were being eyed upon. That's
right.
exactly what Philadelphia is. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis in the middle. Even without Milton Williams, there's still the focus is on the interior, so he would get a lot of ISO pass rush opportunities. Yeah, I think this is a great fit. This is a fun. That'd be a Howie Roseman signing. Is Dante Fowler because no one's gonna like. It's not gonna be a headline. It's not gonna be in the news, but it's gonna be an impactful pickup because if Sweat goes, he's a nice fill-in. It might be better than Sweat.
Yeah. And then here's something that like kind of like as I looked into these numbers and these free agents, the Eagles defensive linemen just don't play a lot of snaps. I was looking at Milton Williams, and that's kind of the guy that I didn't see myself leaving him off this list. I want Milton Williams to stay. I think the Eagles roster is overall better with him. Milton Williams played less than half the snaps this year for the Eagles. He was a
Yeah.
rotational defensive tackle, so he was constantly fresh. And I just trust Howie Roseman because I saw him do this exact thing with Javon Hargrave. Javon
Yeah.
Hargrave was coming off a very similar year that Milton Williams had, and we let him walk in free agency. I hate to see it happen. He's still a fine player, but he was never Javon Hargrave like he was that last year with Philly. And that's because of this, I think, rotational approach that they take. They like to keep a deep defensive line and and build it around maybe one or two players. Right now, I think those one or two players could be Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, really the big one, and kind of fill in around. And so I think they let Milton Williams walk. Moro Ojamo out of Texas really came on last year. I think he kind of is in a rotational role. And then my last move here is drafting defensive tackle Darius Alexander, I believe out of Toledo. I did some research into him. He's kind of an immediate rotational guy with the opportunity to grow into a greater role, kind of their value at the end of the first round. And so I
Sounds
just think
familiar.
exactly right. That's where Nolan Smith was drafted. I think they draft someone like that can kind of grow into a role, knowing they don't need him to start right away. They can roll into next year with Jordan Davis and Moro Jamo and Jalen Carter at defensive tackles and be just fine. And so I'm not too worried about not bringing back Milton Williams. But I mean, how do you feel about that? Me passing on Milton.
So Milton Williams is gonna get the bag somewhere. It's gonna be very hard. Like I'm
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
as much as Phil likes him, as much as he probably loves Philadelphia, and that's obviously where he matured into the player that he is now. Sometimes these guys they want to get a chip and then get the bag. He got a chip, now he wants to go get paid some more, and he will. People will. He's probably the third or fourth highest paid free agent this year, behind T Higgins and that kind of realm of player. Trey Smith too, but Milton Williams, yeah, I would love to see him there because he fits so well next to Jalen Carter. They complement each other so well. He play inside and out. But yeah, I think his time is gone. If you guys signed Milton Williams, I mean, Hall of Famer High Roseman shows off again. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
real.
yeah,
Spotrac has Milton Williams, just for context, making 4 years, 40 million. I feel like he gets way more than that.
he's getting in the 70 guarantees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think he gets more than that.
yeah. It's so funny too because this is like a fix the Eagles or fix a team. The Eagles, this is just maintaining. This is not even fixing.
Yeah,
This is maintain what you got, which is what
I
good teams do. So
and like start planning, start preparing for like every good team, every Super Bowl team for sure. You start to lose players, and
yeah,
so start bringing in that next layer of players, drafting guys who could eventually be cheaper. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. That's how I would handle the offseason at this moment. What, February 21st? So a lot is going to
yeah,
change before
yeah,
they take
a
the
lot.
field, later this year. But that's the Philadelphia Eagles.